Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I don't know if it was because I was bored and had nothing to do but watch, or maybe it was just because the Home Run Derby was held in Cleveland last night, but that event was fun to watch. It might have been even better if the matchup between Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Jock Peterson was for the title, so the actual title matchup was somewhat anticlimactic, but that's okay. Hats off to the city of Cleveland. They have done its usual job of pulling off a major event, as they almost always do. The biggest complaint I've heard is that the parking lot owners are gouging their customers by charging $100 or more to park near Progressive Field. In their defense, somewhat, I'm told that almost every city does that. Of course, it's not the Indians' fault. They don't own the parking lots. Tonight's show should be fun also. And then it's on to the second half of the baseball season with the Cleveland Indians right in the thick of things. Think about it. It's possible that in October, we'll be paying $100 again to park. Bud Shaw is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 23rd year, and it's ready to go to the 24th sometime in September, right here on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw from WKYC.com is with us, and thrilled with the, what, you're pointing fingers, and I was just going to say, how about that All-Star Home Run Derby last night?
You just reminded me of what I like most about this show.
The end of the month.
Free parking.
Free parking.
You know?
And I promise that you forever, in any negotiation, you got it. Free parking. That's not the case
deal.
Downtown.
That's a deal.
When you were in Philadelphia, was it that way? Not $100, but was it a gouge situation?
Well, yeah. For every, Phillies were in a World Series when I was back there.
Yeah.
Eagles were in a Super Bowl, so there was an NFC Championship game there. But this happened during the Cavs NBA Finals, too.
Yeah, it's not the Indians' fault. They don't own the parking concession.
Yeah, you just have to be willing to walk, right?
Yeah, or
so
carpool.
if you walk 4 or 5 blocks, you can still find something that's fairly reasonable.
Yeah, a carpool and split the money and all that. And
RTA.
RTA. This message not brought to you by RTA. It's brought to you by Bud Shaw.
The bars are staying open till 4 a.m. I don't know whether RTA is.
I was not down there last night. Was the bar activity excessive?
I was not down there for the game, for the Home Run Derby either. I was there for 3 days of Play Ball Park, which was at the Convention Center, which was a really neat kind of baseball festival.
Is it a traveling thing, or is it?
It's something that they started setting up at each All-Star venue over the last couple of years, but they've added so much over the past few years. And this year there was a lot of stuff that people were doing, like the virtual reality Home Run Derby, where once you put the headset on, you were in Progressive Field at the batter's box, digging in the dirt with fans, all around you and the pitcher.
How about the David Letterman putting the Velcro on the body and making the catch against the wall? Did you see any of that going on?
I had a conversation with a guy totally unrelated to this, and in fact, it was about the U.S. women's soccer team and what he felt was excessive celebration during their games. So I was down at, which I disagreed with, and I was down at Play Ball Park, and I tweeted him a picture of one of the exhibits there, which is flip the bat. So these kids are 6 years old, and they're learning how to hit a home run and bat flip.
Forget about how to hit. Here's how you flip. No question about it. Al Rosen back in the 50s, his nickname was Flip, but I don't think, it was Al Flip Rosen, but I don't think that's why.
It wasn't because of that,
It wasn't because of that at all. All right, did you walk down the street or at the convention center and just say, hey, there's Willie Mays or somebody?
No, but while we were in Play Ball Park, we did a series of live shows from there online, and we got a number of guests, and maybe a younger demographic, the names wouldn't have meant so much to them, but I grew up watching Ferguson Jenkins and Tony Oliva and we got those guys for
Tony
interviews.
Oliva might have been one of the great hitters of all time, but
yeah,
he had 100 knee injuries.
Yeah, he did, and we talked about what he would have done against the shift, which is
he'd hit 900.
What was that old?
We will
hit it where
Keeler.
they ain't, right?
Yeah.
But you know, he was a very interesting guy, and there were a couple of Negro League guys there. We also talked with Mike Napoli, who
did you party there?
But he said that he wants to manage.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, he did. He said,
is he coaching? Is he doing anything?
He took a year away from baseball, and you know, they always say you take a year away to spend time with your family. He spent time with his family and thoroughbred racing. Apparently, he got into some of that with some horses.
I would think that Terry Francona would help him.
Yeah,
maybe find a job.
He said that
in the
he had
lower
gotten
minors.
a call from. He had talked with the Cubs, but decided to take a year off. And when I asked him if he would be willing to, you know, to do something like hitting coach, his eyes lit up. He said, "Yeah, for sure I would." You know. Now, like when I talked to Omar, who also said he wanted to manage when he got out of the game, they weren't signing up for riding the minor league buses for 5 or 6 years, you know, like Travis Fryman did.
Yeah.
And I think Mike would prefer, obviously, to get on a big league coaching staff as a hitting coach.
You could probably find a party bus somewhere that you could buy.
Yeah.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. Bud Shaw is here. We're in the All-Star break and getting ready to go again on Friday. So I was just wondering, this is the opening part of the show. Do you have an opening comment?
Well, I'll try to ad-lib one if you want.
Give it a go, whatever.
Okay. Well, here we are, Les. The Indians start up again with a series against the Minnesota Twins, and so resumes our conversation about what they should do. Buy, sell, stand pat at the July 31st trade deadline, or what? Got a chance to talk with former Twins great Tony Oliva at Play Ball Park inside the convention center the other day. He's still invested in the team all these years later and believes the Twins' own decision is more clear-cut. He believes they'll buy. Former Marlins All-Star Cliff Floyd, who now works with MLB Network, said the same. Their theory is that it's much more clear-cut when a team has a lead. Their window is fully open. At 5.5 games behind the Twins, the Indians is only cracked open. But there's time for this team to send a message to the front office still before July 31st. If they can cut it to a game or two or even chase down the Twins, the message will be clear. Hands off. We got this. Now, if you're the front office and those calls are coming in about Trevor-Bauer, and it's a big time.
It's a tough call.
It's a big time deal package that you can answer questions about your position players for the next 5 years. You know, I don't know what you do. I think you probably trade him and try to do what Tampa did last year, which was they traded Chris Archer at the deadline, continued to win games, and ended up being a playoff team, I believe, correct?
All right, yes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how I feel, and then you respond to that. You get a 17-game stretch here with 6 against Minnesota, 3-3, home and away, and then you've got Detroit and Kansas City and somebody else not very good, I think Toronto. I said last night, and I know you were watching, you might have missed this part, that that at the end of this 17-game stretch, I said I think the Indians will be in first place in the American League Central on their way to sort of running away the rest of the way.
Wow.
Well, running away to me is if you win it by 5 or 6 games, to me that's running away with it.
If you were 12 games out in the loss column and you win by 5 or 6 games,
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's a runaway.
Okay, so they were 11.5. Were they 11.5 or just 11
Yeah,
back?
they were 11.5 games back, but 12 behind.
And now they're 5.5 back.
Mm-hmm.
And 17 games, which they should, I believe, win 13 or 14 of them.
Well, the only thing I would say is that the Twins. So you're assuming they're going to sweep the Twins somewhere in there, or
I
take
think,
2 out of 3 every time they play them?
Yeah, I think their losses come there.
You know, the Twins also have those same teams in the division.
Yes, they do.
Too.
I don't know if they have them right now, but eventually they will.
I think the Twins are good enough. I just think that right now they've got a few injuries with, I think, Rosario, C.J. Cron. And I do believe they'll go out and get more help, whether it's bullpen help or starting pitching help. But I think they're going to add to it, just as we've talked about the Dolans doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
They add when they've had a lead.
Yeah. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Email us during the show, real-les-levine at gmail.com. Bud Shaw with us. Tomorrow night, Jim Ingram joins us, Terry Pluto on Thursday night. We do the show, of course, live from 6 until 7, and you can archive it on cleveland.com anytime, any day. Go back in the future. You can't go back to the future. You can go back to the past and check that out. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. Coming up, we'll take a look at the key players the Indians need to go forward here in the second half of the season. When we get back, Bud Shaw with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today, Jim Pollard. I believe he is the first African-American to play in the NFL. Is that correct?
I don't know that.
O.J. Simpson, haven't heard much about him lately. Any idea?
I think he's just been out.
He's been out.
Searching.
Miles to go. Jim Paxson, Trent Green, and Kelly Holcomb. He was not my favorite quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, you were really not on that Kelly Holcomb.
No, I wasn't, although they should have won that game in Pittsburgh.
That's for sure.
They had it.
He was prolific that day.
Northcutt dropped it. Ever tell you the Northcutt story with me and Michael Regai? We're doing a show on Fox.
I think you have, but I don't remember. Yeah.
And he had about 5 weeks left in the season saying how good the quarterbacks were. Kelly Holcomb and I don't know who else it would have been. Would it have been Anderson?
Couch. Right?
Couch, and there was somebody else that snuck in there a little bit saying how great they were. And then he found out the next week that his contract was not going to be renewed. And he ripped into every quarterback that has ever played in the National Football League, especially the Cleveland Browns. It was fun, though. 216-575-0403. All right, back to baseball. Who are the key players for the Indians in the second half? I think a couple of them are obvious. And by the way, if I ask you if it's a key player, does it have to be somebody who has not contributed and should, or somebody who has and should continue to?
Yeah, I think it can come from any category, but I mean, the first one that comes to mind to me is Jose-Ramirez. I mean, when he wasn't himself last year, they didn't last long in the playoffs.
And well, it comes to mind also by Brian, who put this together.
Yeah.
We did not rehearse this.
No.
All right, so you take a look pre-All-Star of 18 and post-All-Star of 18, and then what he's done so far in the 2019 season. And it looks like he hit the wall about August of last season.
Yeah, now over the last, I don't know what it is, maybe 15 games, something like that, he started to come out of it a little bit.
Right.
Is that the quality of the opponent they're facing? We'll find out.
I don't know, in his case, I don't know if that matters. It seems to me just hitting anybody, any major league pitching.
He's just, you know, I asked Cliff Floyd about that the other day, too, because, you know, I don't know if you remember that Tom Verducci, who writes for SI.com, had written something earlier this year about this being maybe one of the greatest collapses by an MVP candidate.
From 1 year to the next?
Yeah, from 1 year to the next. And I mean, to even find something similar, I think he dredged up like Terry Pendleton, who also played third base and who was
played for the St. Louis
and then the Atlanta Braves, I think, for a little bit. But the point of his article was that Pendleton was 31, 32 when that happened. This guy was 25, and Cliff Floyd, you know, he didn't try to sugarcoat that. He just said he sees him popping balls up that he would normally have driven to the wall last year, and doesn't know exactly why.
All right, so there's a guy who's got to turn it around here in the second half for the Indians to win. Who else do you have in mind?
Well, I don't know turn it around, but I think a guy who's become very, very important to what they're doing is Roberto Perez. You know, can he keep this up? Because he's turned himself into a legitimate, you know, tough out now.
Yeah, and the question is, as a catcher, what does that do to his hitting, and what does the hitting do to the catcher?
I mean, we had one of the guys we had too was Sandy Alomar, you know, who still looks great when you see him, but he still has issues with his back from being from all those years of being behind the plate. So yeah, it's a tough. As seasons go on, those guys are asked to do a lot, and not just manage games, manage pitching staffs, but also get on base and drive in runs. And he's been a big part of what they've done over the last month. My
important guy is Jason-Kipnis.
Yeah.
Almost like adding a new player with him when he produces, and he's doing quite well since at this point. And you see what he's done through June 15th last year, and what he has done so far.
Yeah, you know, the idea of buying or selling, you know, beyond listening to offers for Trevor Bauer, you just wonder, like, what does it entail? I mean, no one's going to come looking for Kipnis, I don't think, with his numbers.
Right, with his numbers and his money.
I mean his contract and his numbers. So it's really, I think it comes down to Brad Hand and Trevor Bauer. And what will you do in that case if you're the Indians?
There's an added factor here, and that is, how do you think you'll do next year? Is Chicago ready to challenge, which I think they are? In fact, I think I'm more worried next year about Chicago than I might be against Minnesota. So the question is, if you unload for this season, are you taking next season down with you, or will you find somebody else? But I'm not sure who you find better than those two guys at their positions.
Yeah, I mean, do you think if they you just said that you believe they'll be in first place by the end of this 17-game run? Now, Trevor Bauer's only going to pitch 3 of those games,
correct?
Right?
So that wouldn't matter that much.
So I think, and I might be wrong, but if they're getting good reports on how Kluber looks, they feel good about Clevinger, they already know what they have in Bieber, I think that they'll have to listen to, only because, again, he's going to command $18 million next year in arbitration.
Right.
They don't want to pay it. And they certainly don't want to pay it to a guy that is not going to listen to any negotiations for a long-term deal. So what are you doing then? You're going to carry him for another year at $18 million and hope that you win again?
If you're the Indians, do you not trade with the Yankees? Do you not trade with
I don't know. That's the tough one. And I know how you felt about if you're going to trade Kyrie Irving, don't trade him to Boston.
Right.
You know,
trade him to Sacramento.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they would love to trade him somewhere else, but would you feel better if they traded him to Houston than the Yankees? I don't know why you would.
There's a part of me that forgets Houston's in the American League.
Yeah, I know. Same here. I have to remind myself. But
and
so yeah, I think ideally they'd love to deal him to, you know, a team that's really. The Dodgers don't really need starting pitching, do they? But they certainly need some more bullpen help. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, because now I think, you know, this is a feel-good week here.
Yep.
You know, fans are into baseball, into the All-Star game.
And they will be this weekend. I'm assuming every game is sold out.
They will be this weekend with the Twins coming in. And then if you follow that up by trading your ace, and that's what Bauer is right now, there's going to be some blowback for that.
Does Michael Brantley get a standing ovation?
I think he does, and I think he should.
All right. How about this? I'm still waiting. I asked last night for people to call if they've seen an Indians commercial or a billboard. If other than Rock and Blast, are they mentioning the Minnesota Twins?
I know that's a pet peeve of yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to explain to people why.
Well, because I think baseball is sort of important, and I think I think the fact that the Minnesota Twins are
that's
here,
your reasoning.
The first place Minnesota Twins to take on the second place Cleveland Indians, with the with the season in the balance, yeah, I think it's pretty important. I know Rock and Blast is great. Save it for Kansas City on a Tuesday night.
All right, I'm with you.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We've got a Facebook question of the day. You can respond to that. Who's the most important Indians player in the second half of the season? Let's take a look at what some of our viewers respond. Andy Mees says the key to the success for another strong Indians second half will be the continued progression of Oscar Mercado. He's the guy that helped the Tribe avoid the June swoon in a big way. Hopefully when pitchers make the adjustments against the rookie, he can adjust accordingly. Dennis Davis says Jose-Ramirez, we need him to strengthen the middle of the lineup. Rick May says Corey-Kluber is needed to anchor the starting pitching. If we can get him back to go by September, it could make the difference in the Tribe overtaking the Twins in the division. And by the way, if Kluber does come back, at least this time he'll be well rested.
Yeah, you would think there'd be no lower back issues, nothing other than just rust.
Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday with the 6 p.m. post time, but they open at noon every day for simulcast action all over the world. The weekly Sunday contest for trying to pick the winners, and that comes your way with a $500 prize in cash each and every week. And Lady Luck's Clubhouse open every Saturday with the buffet for just $15.95, free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Well, it's not exactly the home run derby, Bud, that we've been talking about. Wait till you see what we have coming up in the next segment. I think you're going to enjoy it.
I was looking for a red carpet to walk under the set here today.
This might be better.
Good.
Take a break, come back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues right here on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. Bud, how come abbreviated is such a long word? Any idea? Just can't explain it.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Sort of like the Indians losing 2 games in a row to Baltimore 13-0. It's baseball.
Or being outscored 26-2 in a series against the Orioles.
All right, so you like the home run derby, right?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I'm not sure if the format needs a little more tweaking.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know what they can do.
These guys are exhausted by the time they get to the final round.
All right, so you did that, and what about fundamentals in baseball? You think fundamentals are good in baseball in general?
No, I don't think they are.
They need improvement?
I do think they need improvement.
They ought to follow the North and South Koreans who have the answer to fundamentals. This is a bunning contest.
That is Les Levine's dream right there. The only thing that would make this better is if there was also clock management involved.
Apparently, those chicks don't care about the long ball. Now, this guy, none of these guys go to the right side. We got to improve that.
Women love the well-placed bunt down the left field, third baseline.
Look at this pitch.
That is funny. They're throwing ephus pitches.
You know, what I hope he doesn't throw at the guy. That could empty the benches. a 27-mile-an-hour fastball.
That's the one batting practice I think I could still throw.
And I could still hit. So it would be a shot. How come they're not going to the right side?
Is the crowd going crazy?
Yeah, well.
Are they still all up at the concession stand?
That's pretty funny.
That is really funny.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You know, you can also send us the voicemail of Truth and Reason, and we'll have one of those sometime today. But if you can't get into the show and you want to leave an opinion somewhere, and that's it, voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Call anytime, 23 hours a day. Don't call while we're on the air. That's a waste. You can just actually call us if you're doing it between 6 and 7.
So it's really 23-7.
23-7.
23-7.
I'm guessing 23-6 also, because Sunday from 6 to 7.
Yeah,
nobody's
true.
there.
True. We'll have to work
But
on
we
that.
work these people hard here, but as you can attest. You know what's interesting? We've had so much. A month or two ago, everything was football, football, football. Then baseball took over, or other stuff took over, and we've forgotten how close we now are to football.
I know. Yeah, I ran into Jim Donovan and I did a live shot from the top of that fire museum. Do you know where that is?
I do. It's behind home. It's catty corner to home plate.
Yeah, and he walked over from the ballpark and he said, "What do you want to talk about?" And I said, "Well, I think it's pretty obvious, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, you would think so." He said, "But I got stopped 10 times over at the stadium, at the ballpark, people asking him about the Browns and when they start back up."
Well, don't you think that's because it's
Jim
Donovan?
Him. Yeah, it's because it's him. But yeah.
Who's more popular in this town, play-by-play, Jim Donovan or Tom Hamilton?
I don't. I think that's a great call. I think just because of the interest level in the Browns, I guess people would say
and not the
Donovan.
weather, and the fact that Jim can make it sound good even though it's not.
Yeah, and they know that Jim is now. He's long-suffering is the right term for how many years he's been doing it without seeing a good team, whereas Tom at least has seen some really good teams and gone to playoff games.
Let me tell you something as a guy who aspired to do play-by-play.
Yeah.
When you get that paycheck and you look at the record of the team, good or bad,
doesn't really matter.
You're not long-suffering. That is one job you actually do laugh all the way to the bank.
But you admit, some guys are really good at it and some guys are not.
There's no question about that. That's another story for another day. And I remember negotiating for a deal at one point, and they told me the number, and I walked out. I said, "I'll get back to you." And then I got to my car, and I called the guy back and said, "Is that per game or per season?" So he gave me the answer, and I said, "Excuse me, I'm just turning around in a parking lot. Just show me where to sign when I get there." 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Speaking of the Browns, Duke Johnson has parted ways with his female agent. Not that the female is the prime word here, but the fact that she's married to a rapper, I believe, is
Uncle
the
Luke.
prime. Uncle Luke.
Yep, from 2 Live Crew fame back in the day. Yeah, so we know
Can you
Luther
name any of
Campbell.
their top singles?
Not at all. But his name is Luther Campbell. And yeah, I just don't know what to make of this change. Is it because she's unhappy with, or he's unhappy with the fact that he's still here? Or he's unhappy with the way that whole thing, was handled and the fact that it became a social media beef between Luther Campbell and Baker Mayfield and anybody else that had criticized Duke Johnson. So it's Mary Kay Cabot, I know, wrote something for cleveland.com today in which, she's been told that this doesn't change his request to be traded. I did see a comment from his agent saying that they were, they are proud that they got him a good contract while he was here, and they did. He signed a 2-year or 3-year, $15 million deal. It's a pretty good deal for running backs in this league,
considering length of time they play.
Yeah, and I think he's just he watched what happened to Carlos Hyde last year, and he doesn't want that to happen again. He doesn't want to be here for 6 or 7 or 8 games, and then have Kareem Hunt come back and the team say, "Okay, see ya," and then he's got to go start over somewhere else and try to find a spot in that running back rotation.
Okay, so this is one of the rare occasions where money was not the problem because the money was a done deal.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with money. It has to do with him feeling like, we've all worked for somebody and found out either before the fact or after the fact that they didn't value us much, right? So it kind of hurt. You get your feelings hurt, and I think he got his feelings hurt when they not only signed Kareem Hunt, but John Dorsey felt inclined to say, when asked if they would make a deal for Duke Johnson, said not yet.
Okay, but
so he got upset, and he said, hey, if you don't want me, then I don't want you.
Well, he didn't say he didn't want him. That's number one. And number two, go play so well that they can't change it.
Sure, and I think that's what he's going to do. I have.
Well, you would hope he would.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think he was going to lie about how he felt. So when he came here for the first minicamp day and they asked him, he was honest enough to say, look, I haven't changed. This is how I feel.
Right.
In the meantime, he's going to give it his best, I think. And I don't doubt that at all. He's been a pretty good teammate and a pretty good player.
Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Bud Shaw with us. We'll talk about Duke Johnson and more as he parts ways with his agent. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively right here on cleveland.com.
Why can't I?
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
This date in sports history, 1963, July 9th, Willie Mays, the All-Star MVP as the National League defeated the American League 5-3. That was at Cleveland's Municipal Stadium. I was at that game and nothing happened in that game.
You were there?
Yeah. Why are you so surprised?
Because, you know, people like to say that they were at these games. And
I would never say
when
that.
you check the attendance.
I also will say that I walked out in the third inning of the Indians-Seattle game when they were down 14-2.
Okay. Were you at the Barker game?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, I was at plenty of Barker's games, but not the one you're referring to. Why, did he have an important game?
Yeah,
at one
I think
point?
he did. Yeah, in May of '81.
You know, think about, we were talking about that last night with the D-man, Dennis Maniloff, saying how Barker's life's changed. I think he was 2 games under the 500 mark in his career, and yet he can go to card shows, he can go anywhere because it's always perfect game pitcher, Len Barker.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, Len Barker and the Indians, did you run into anybody else down at the old ball yard?
Yeah, a couple of guys that I was really happy to see, Charlie Nagy being one of them. He sat and talked with us a little bit, and we talked about the new ballpark and getting its second All-Star game, and we talked about the old place and what that was like to pitch in there. I mean, he came up in 1990, which was not the heyday, right?
No.
That's when they were dismantling the team over the next few years. And he said he was just so happy to get to the big leagues. He didn't care where he was pitching, what the venue was. And he said the funny thing is that he was he was told he would be sharing a locker with another player, and that other player was Keith Hernandez. And I said, well, that's perfect. That's like having a roommate who's never home, right? You have the whole place to yourself. And he laughed. He said the first bit of veteran advice he got was from Keith Hernandez, who said, don't touch my smokes. That's what he told him.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
It wasn't like, you know,
nope.
Relax between
nope.
starts?
You're sharing my locker, don't touch my smokes.
Oh, that's funny. Or don't write a book.
And the other thing, Les, that I thought was, because you would appreciate this being a baseball guy going way back, we had Ferguson Jenkins, who in 1971 won the National League Cy Young.
Yes.
He had 39 starts that year. You want to guess how many complete games he had?
I'm going to say 25.
30.
30.
He had 30 complete games in a
Did you notice if his arm had fallen off? Or if
no,
he
looked
okay?
fine. And even when we talked to Nagy and brought that up to him, Nagy said his career high one season was 10. Well, you just don't see that. You don't see 10 now,
yeah,
do you?
it had changed by then.
But does anybody even have 10 anymore?
No.
You know, I mean, if a guy goes to a complete game, it's like, it's
almost
pretty unusual.
It's almost like if a guy goes into the 6th inning with a no-hitter, the manager's hoping he gives up a hit.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to yank him in the 8th or in the 9th inning. Bud Shaw with us. We talked about Duke Campbell parting ways with his agent, Kristen Campbell. But it looks like Pro Football Focus is at it again. I don't even know why they have these ratings, but I don't know how they do it, but they have rated the offensive lines in pro football. And look at this. Last year, the Browns ranked number 2 at the end of the season, and right now they're number 20, according to the same people. Philadelphia first. Did you see Kelsey playing the
in the softball game? No, I did not. I've heard about it, but I didn't see it.
Dallas Cowboys second, Pittsburgh third, and Tennessee, and then Indianapolis. You know, Indianapolis just seems to be right up in the top 8 or 10 in almost every category.
Yeah, a friend of mine over in Pittsburgh saw this same Pro Football Focus list, and he's thoroughly amused by it. This time last year, the Steelers were ranked number 1. Now they're ranked number 3, and he's like, I don't remember them giving up any sacks in June or May. What happened?
How'd they go down? Well, here you go. The Browns last year, in 18 left tackle position, between the two, between Desmond Harrison and Greg Robinson. Greg Robinson expected to start this year. Batonio, both years. J.C. Tretter, both years. And at the bottom, you've got Chris Hubbard at the same spot. So virtually, they're, I would say, almost the same. The only difference is Zeitler and Corbett have switched. That's enough to make them go from number 2 to number 20?
Yeah, I mean, I know in the case of Pittsburgh, they dropped 3 spots because they've lost their offensive line coach, but I mean, none of this stuff means anything.
No, you know what it means?
And I'm not devaluing what the stats they come up with during a season, but this feels like, to me, the preseason college football rankings sometimes.
Right.
You don't
There's a difference. You gotta, as long as you keep winning, you stay there. That's a little different here.
Yeah.
And I think the real reason for having these ratings is for guys like you and me to talk about it.
Yeah, they get us to talk about it. So
I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And once the game starts, you'll find out who's good and who's not. I can tell you who is good, and that's Sokolowski's University. And have you been there lately?
Not lately.
What are you waiting for?
Much to my chagrin.
It's not on Chagrin. It's in Tremont.
Hey-o.
Established in 1923 by Mike and Bernie's grandparents, and they've been there in the same location almost 100 years. And they are the winners of the proud winners of the James Beard Foundation Award. Only 5 in the country get it each and every year. They won it about 3 years ago. So proud of that, as well they should, and well deserved, no question about that. Behind the building you see there, you got the best view of downtown Cleveland. They're open Friday and Saturday nights, starting at 4, and of course Monday through Friday, 11 to 3, for the best lunch in town at Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. We'll listen to one voicemail of Truth and Reason when we get back. Looks like we're sending a spaceship to Mars out there. I would hope they would produce the show rather than send stuff to Mars. We'll come back in a moment. Bud Shaw with us exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
This date in Les-Levine history, July 9th, 1963, Les has an idea to make All-Star games more exciting. At Thanksgiving time, you got 4 seasons. Choose the All-Stars in the 4 major sports, then flip a coin to see what sport each star should play. So you could have Francisco-Lindor playing hockey. You could...
Wow.
You could have Wilt the Still Chamberlain playing baseball. I think it's a...
Shaq.
There's nothing wrong with, there's no holes you can shoot in that.
Ferguson Jenkins grew up in Canada and was a hockey player before he was a baseball player.
He's a tall guy.
Could have worked.
Right?
Could have worked.
All right. You had an interesting
well,
run-in.
you know, one of the guests we had was from. I'm not a memorabilia guy, so I don't. You know,
nor am I.
It doesn't mean a lot to me when, you know, when you hear people talk about how. You know, how expensive things were
and when
and
I
how
hear
much
that,
they sold for.
I just go up to my office and look at my Hannes Wagner signed card.
Oh, that's what you have?
Yeah.
You might want to check that one out.
Okay.
But one of the heads of the auction house said that somebody had brought a ball in, and it was a Ruth, Tris Speaker, and I think Gehrig, but I may have the wrong third name there. And that, you know, ideally that ball would have been worth a lot, 75 grand or something like that. And they authenticated that the signatures were all real. The problem is that when the ink began to fade, they had them traced over. They had them professionally traced.
Oh.
And as soon as they did that, it lost its value by a lot. I think
some amateur had it, some guy who found it in his house.
Yeah,
and thought that was the thing to do.
Maybe he bought it and they were fading over the years, and he decided that this was a way to, you know, restore the value of it. And in fact, he compromised the value of it.
Big basketball news.
What is that?
D. Wade has signed a 2-year deal with the Cleveland-Cavaliers.
I saw that.
Not Dwayne Wade. This is Dean Wade.
Dean Wade. It'd be like being named Fran Sinatra, you know?
Sort of like. Anyway, Dean Wade is a forward out of Kansas State, 6'10", 228, 12 points a game, 6.2 rebounds a game, 50% field goals in his 4 years. He's a 4-year player, so that's good. And 8.8 points a game in the summer league games and 27 minutes per game. He signed a 2-way deal with the Cavs, and for those who don't know what that means, he'll be playing much more with Canton than anybody else.
Yeah, you know, I'm following on social media. I see people asking whether the Cavs should get interested enough to make a play for Russell Westbrook, who now is amenable to a trade.
If he's not happy with the team he had, how would he be happy?
Can you
with
imagine the lack of development that would happen in your backcourt if you had Russell Westbrook?
Right.
I mean, the whole idea of drafting these guys was to
get together,
was to grow with them and see whether they can play together. You know what?
But do the Cavs need to make some kind of movement just to let the fans know they're somewhat interested in this season?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Just play the hand they're given.
I mean, if you come back with these young guys and you come back with Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love, and I think you can still convince people that you're going to, you know, try to be competitive while you're developing. But I think there's a better chance that they'll end up moving Kevin Love at some point during the season.
My point exactly is Kevin Love's purpose of playing this season is to get himself into trade position to a good contender.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's going to happen, but who knows? I mean, I'm interested in seeing the young backcourt together. I think it'll be fun to watch.
Guess who found us tonight?
The Provoker.
Close. How about Devin in Concord?
Devin in Concord.
Devin, where have you been? We've been here every night. Bud's here every Tuesday. Come on, get with it.
I know. I'm telling you guys. You know, my kids are 11 and 12, and you know how that goes. I don't know which day's which.
How's my nephew doing?
Hey, I saw him. There was a actual festival, and we were talking about you. Nothing was good, by the way.
He's friends with my cousin, or my nephew. He sees him much more than I do. But
your name got brought up, Les, but nobody had much good to say.
Yeah. Now one thing.
What's up?
No, it's all good. How you guys been? Good?
Yep.
So, going back, you guys are talking about Jose-Ramirez, right? And obviously, if we're going to go anywhere, he's got to, you know, come alive. Of the opinion that, you know, it's just never going to happen. I just don't think it's, I mean, maybe, I don't know what that 2-year span was. Maybe that was the flash in the pan, and we're seeing the real Jose right now.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, boy, it's, I've seen guys be flashes in the pan, Bill, but without finishing top 3 in the MVP race. Maybe you're right, but boy, it's hard to believe that he went from, 39 and 108 to what we're seeing right now.
I'll tell you what, Bud brought it up before.
He came out of nowhere, I mean, he came out of, wasn't he just like a free agent signing into the training camp?
Yeah, I mean, you're right that he was not, considered one of the top prospects. And when he walked into the clubhouse for the first time, a lot of those guys looked at each other like, not only who is this, but who does this guy think he is, because he just strutted around. But clearly over those 2 seasons, I think he showed a lot more than what any of us thought was there. It's just hard to believe it's all gone.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is not so much that the pitchers have caught on to him, but it's more of a hitch in his swing that he has, and it has nothing to do with the way he's pitching. They're talking about him with the uppercut. It looks like he's twitching that shoulder and then popping it up.
Yeah, I mean, one of the elements of that story that I referenced about him was that he's actually seeing more fastballs this year than he did last year.
Well, he should own those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like his back plant foot is shifting a little bit almost. It's like he's not even steady anymore.
Yeah, and he's losing leverage and just popping up a lot of balls that he used to drive.
The ball.
And his confidence is shot.
And now he's popping up to second. I mean, and so he has to show up if we're going to do anything. I mean, I don't. And then you're right, Bud, about Perez. Like, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
My God, I mean, is this going to continue on the second half? I mean, we were all kind of bummed out when Yanni Gogo went away. Like, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
Speaking of Yanni Gogo, what do you think of my boy Kippy?
Oh, hey, there was a week there. I tried calling you. Like, he had like a game winner. He had like 2 home runs in the game, and he got so hot that I couldn't believe it. And then the bottom fell out a little bit. But he's Kippy. Hey, he started an all-star game a couple years back.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
And then, now, and this is a bad thing that kind of bums you out about the Dolans. Like, they can't swallow a mistake, signing him to 15 or whatever it was.
Well, they haven't made many of them. That's proof of it right there.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, in USA Today, they had an article about the Indians, and they said that owner Charles Dolan really did something bad when he said, enjoy Lindor while you've got him.
Yeah.
I believe they just missed on the Dolan.
Yeah. Just a bit outside.
Yeah, and you would just wish Brantley was still here. If they were able to kind of hold on to him somehow. I mean, if we just had this one outfielder.
Yeah, and I think it's not like Brantley got a 5-year deal somewhere else.
Right. And a huge amount of money per year.
He got a 2-year deal. That's why I thought that would have been a big keep. But I think it's pretty clear that ownership told the front office, we're not doing this. I don't think Chris Antonetti, as much as they love Michael Brantley, that he said, you know what, we love him, but we don't think it's worth it anymore. I can't imagine the front office said that.
I can't either. But on the other hand, Mercado has changed the presence of this team around since he was inserted in the 2 spot.
Hey, and I know your boy Naquin, you're not a big fan, but he's not that bad.
No, I'm getting close. Devin, I'm getting close to making a proclamation on him.
Uh-oh.
Not close like tonight, but close.
Are you sure? Because
I'll tell you what.
He's basically a 270 hitter. I mean, that's what you're going to get out of him.
If he played in the league where they have to throw the ball below the waist, he'd be an all-star. But he can't hit a thing above the waist.
He can't hit anything. And I don't know why anyone does throw anything low to him. I mean, I don't.
If I know it, they should know it.
Yeah.
All right, I got to go. Devin, thanks for rejoining us.
You're not a big golf guy.
All right.
The British is coming in. Anybody but Tiger. That's all.
Thanks, Devin. Great to talk to you, as always. Ron has issued some kind of proclamation on the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Yeah. Now, you can't. It's on tape, so you can't argue with him.
Okay.
Got to wait till he's done. Let's hear what Ron has to say.
Hi, Les. This is Ron Byer. Hey, Les, up to this point, as a longtime Browns fan, my biggest fear was losing the younger generation. But with this group of Browns players, we will get back the local younger generation. Plus, we'll have young fans from all over the world who will become Browns fans. But it will be up to the Browns organization to show films of the 50s, 60s, and 80s Browns teams to get the younger generation to be like the older generation, to love the team first and admire the players second.
Well, Ron, that's a great point. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you're able to play films of them other than before the game and all that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's right on with it.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying. You know, right now you're going to have a lot of Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. fans.
As opposed to Browns fans.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We'll come back in a moment. Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. Follow the excitement of live harness racing. 6 p.m. is the post time. Catch the excitement every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday evenings. That post time again 6 p.m., but they open early at noon every day for simulcast action all over the world. It's free admission, free parking every day. That's at Northfield Park. Back in a moment with Bud Shaw one more time, exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of July and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Jim Ingram will join us tomorrow night. Then it'll be Terry Pluto on Thursday. You see us live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, on cleveland.com. And you can archive any show that we've ever done. Not the future shows, but the current one. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. All right, let's go to our email bag. Mike Soroka says, saw a billboard on 71 North today that advertised the Twins versus the Indians and also heard a radio spot the same. That's Mike in North Olmsted. Good, I'm glad they did that instead of the second thing on the agenda would be the Rock and Blast as opposed to the main event.
So basically you're saying you stand corrected.
No, they've been listening to me for so long they finally said, you know, why don't we try this Minnesota Twins thing?
They owe it all to you.
Cleveland Bill, despite recent calls to trade a starting pitcher for hitting if the Tribe is to remain competitive this season, they can't afford to lose another pitcher. The loss of Kluber and Carrasco has made keeping all of our remaining starters and hand a must. You agree with that?
It's certainly a good argument. I just don't know that they'll be able to turn down a really good offer for Bauer.
Ray in Euclid says the MLB Network had a quick interview with Michael Brantley this afternoon. He was told that many of his All-Star votes came from Cleveland, and he said some very nice things about his time in Cleveland and its fans. He was then asked how he got the nickname Dr. Smooth, and he said he didn't know, but he liked it. Maybe the D-Man ought to give him a call.
Yeah. He's credited with giving him that
nickname.
Unlike
Bob Dolgan, who was not just credited with naming Sam McDowell, he did it. Cleveland Bill has this one. How come baseball fans take outings to see innings? I would think you'd like that one. How come Al Capone always used bullet points on his ransom notes?
I do like that. Yeah, I do like that.
Mr. Gullible comes in. How come a cow in an earthquake is a milkshake He stays with the same thing. How come a twitchy cow is beef jerky? Here comes our daily double.
Who was that? Who were those from?
That was Mr. Gullible.
Okay, Mr. Gullible.
All right, here's the one you got to rate. This is John Patrick. I know, but he always prefaces by saying, I know he doesn't like puns, but he likes them quick, so let's try these. How come they laughed when I ordered my sushi well done? How come candy canes are always in mint condition?
It's another one. It's another.
Here's the problem. He's got two of them. One is a winner and the other is not. So what do you do?
So that's why I just average.
Yeah, I mean, I think individually one is better and one is not.
He'll get one that's a 9.5, and then he'll follow it up with a pun, and it'll bring it back.
I'm just wondering if he brings them home to his parents and says, "Okay, here's a $10 bill for the great report card you have."
You know what I have noticed about the How Come Quickies is that a couple seconds later you can't remember them. At least I can't.
I can't, or
not
the
you,
general
just me.
public.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the one you just. Oh, the bullet points. Yeah. Maybe it's my memory. Maybe it's not the quickies.
Maybe.
But the bullet points I would have given a 9.5 to.
Yeah, by itself.
Yeah.
So maybe he should just.
But that wasn't his, I don't believe. That was Mr. Gullible.
That was Mr. Gullible. I don't think that he should turn them in as a
tandem.
As a triumvirate.
Yes, I think you need to pick what you think is the best one and just let it ride. Just like you're at a Vegas casino. Just let it ride.
Let it ride. All right, so I put myself on the line, speaking of Vegas and a casino, by saying after this 17-game stretch, the Indians will be in the first place in the American League Central.
I would like a mathematician to put pen to paper on that.
What do you mean, say what the odds would be?
No, not the odds, but what would the Twins have to go during this 17-game period to lose a 5.5-game lead?
Let's say the Indians win 13 of the 17, and
so they go
5 of them are against Minnesota.
13-4.
Yeah.
And 5, so they're going to win 5 of 6. 5 of 6 against Minnesota.
Why not?
So Minnesota will have gone 1-5.
Yeah, right there they're almost even.
Right there, okay.
So you don't even have to go 5 of 6. Let's say you went 4 of 6. You're gaining 2 games on them, with 15 to go, with 14 games to go.
Weren't you the guy that earlier this year said that if the Indians don't sweep the Twins, it's over?
That was at another series at another time. And they did win 2 out of 3.
I am detecting that you like absolutes. You like to make proclamations.
I like absolute. Tito's isn't bad.
You like to make proclamations. Now you went from saying the season was over to now they're going to own first place in the next 17 days.
Here's what I've learned. If you do this as long as I have, you make statements, you're going to get, just by luck, you're going to be right on a few. And people will say, oh, you were wrong on such and such. I say, yeah, but how about that time in 2016 when I said such and such?
Yeah.
As long as you have enough wins, you can play them to the hilt.
All right. I like your theory.
All right. Are we done? I think we're done.
We are? Boy, that went by quick.
Close enough. Are we done, boys? We're done. We just got approval.
We're about 2 weeks away from Browns camp opening up.
I didn't know that.
Baker Mayfield's now a married man.
Yep.
I don't know what any of that has to do with anything.
Did he buy you shoes?
Mention it.
Did you see the shoes he got for dancing for all the guys at the wedding?
No.
We can't bring it up. Can we bring that up by now, Brian?
There were did they have his face on them?
No, but we're working on it.
Did they have anything to do with Hugh Jackson?
No.
Phew. All right.
There you go. Look at that.
Wow, that was to wear at the wedding?
Yeah. The dancing shoes. Unbelievable. Looks like he's got the Nike account. All right, now we're done. That'll do it for us. Thanks to Bud Shaw, who was terrific as always. Jim Ingram tomorrow night, Terry Pluto on Monday, Terry Pluto on Thursday, the D-Man on Monday. Then it's Bud Shaw again next Tuesday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.